Let me tell you the hard truth. Getting rich isn't complicated. People make it sound like some secret locked away in dusty books or only known to billionaires in high towers. But here's the reality. Wealth is brutally simple. The reason most people never get it is not because it's too hard, but because they don't want to face the brutal part. They want wealth to be easy, smooth, and kind. They want to work a little, complain a lot, and expect the world to hand them gold. But that's not how it works. Machiavelli, the master of power and human nature, understood something most people still ignore. Money flows to those who can see reality as it is, not as they wish it to be. So, let's rip away the illusions. Forget the pretty lies society sells you about. Just work hard and good things will happen. Forget the motivational posters telling you, dream big and you'll succeed. Those slogans are designed to keep you docile, obedient, and stuck. Wealth doesn't come to the dreamers who just sit back. It comes to those who are willing to play the game as it truly is. Here's the first brutal truth. Most people are poor because they are predictable. They act the same way every day. They wake up, scroll their phone, go to their job, complain, come home, watch TV, and repeat. That routine is safe, it's comfortable, but comfort kills ambition. And comfort makes you easy to control. Do you think the system wants you to be rich? No. The system wants you predictable. Predictable people can be taxed, managed, and manipulated. But Machiavelli would laugh at this. He knew that the key to power and to wealth was seeing the world as it is, not as you hope it to be. You hope your boss will notice your hard work and give you a raise. You hope life will be fair. You hope that if you're nice enough, money will come to you. But none of that is real. What's real is this. The person who owns the system gets rich. The person who plays inside the system stays poor. That's why getting rich is brutally simple. It's not about luck. It's not even about genius. It's about having the courage to stop playing by rules that were never made for your success. The rules of the poor say work, save, and pray. The rules of the rich say own, control, and multiply. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people. The first one works a 9-to-5 job. Every month, they save a small piece of their paycheck, hoping one day they'll have enough. The second person takes the same energy but builds a business, invests in skills, and learns how to sell. 10 years later, the first person has maybe some savings and a tired body. The second person owns assets, cash flow, and freedom. Same years, same hours, but completely different outcomes. Why? Because one played by rules designed for safety, and the other played by rules designed for power. Now, here's the psychology behind it. People are scared of risk. They fear failure more than they desire success. This fear keeps them locked in cages they built for themselves. They cling to the idea of stability, not realizing stability is the biggest illusion. Jobs vanish, economies crash, inflation eats your savings. The safe path is actually the riskiest path of all, but Machiavelli would remind you the bold inherit power, not the timid. If you want wealth, you have to flip your mindset. Instead of asking what's safe and you ask what gives me control. Instead of asking what if I fail, you ask what if I never try. This shift alone can change your entire life. But let's go deeper. Why do people stay broke even when they know all this? The answer is simple. They confuse activity with progress. They work hard, yes. They hustle, yes, but they hustle in the wrong direction. They pour their energy into jobs that cap their growth, into habits that numb their ambition, into relationships that drain their focus. Then they wonder why life feels stuck. Getting rich is brutally simple because it follows a straight line. Learn how money moves. Place yourself where money flows. Take more than you give until you have control. Protect it. Multiply it. That's it. The steps are not rocket science. The challenge is having the courage and patience to do them. Think of it like this. Imagine money as a river. Most people stand on the shore hoping a few drops splash on them. The rich, they build a pipe that diverts the river into their own land. Same river, same water. But one group waits and begs while the other group owns the flow. And here's where Machiavelli's wisdom hits hardest. He said people are driven by two main forces, fear and desire. The rich know how to use both. They make others fear missing out, and they make them desire what they offer. This is how businesses, brands, and even influencers make fortunes. They're not selling products, they're selling desire. They're not pushing logic, they're pulling emotions. So when you look at wealth, don't think of it as piles of money. Think of it as control over desire. The man who can make people want something he controls will always be rich. The woman who can position herself as the one others cannot ignore will always be powerful. But let me warn you, the brutal part is not just building wealth, it's what comes after. When you start to rise, people will envy you. They will whisper behind your back. They will say you're lucky, greedy, or even evil. That's the price of stepping out of the system. Machiavelli warned us long ago, if you want power, you must be ready for enemies. Wealth is no different. To hold it, you must expect resistance. So, here's the question you must ask yourself. Are you ready to stop chasing comfort and start chasing control? Are you willing to face the fear, the doubt, the criticism, and still walk forward? Because if you are, the path to wealth is wide open. It always has been. The poor live in illusion. The rich live in reality. Reality is harsh. Yes, it is unforgiving, but it is also brutally simple. Now let's break down why people stay stuck even when the truth is right in front of them. It's not because they can't learn. It's not because they don't have opportunities. It's because they've been trained to think small. From the moment you were a child, you were told to follow the rules. Don't question, don't take risks, stay in line, go to school, get good grades, find a safe job. That script is repeated again and again, not because it makes you successful, but because it makes you easy to control. And controlled people never rise. Think about it. The school system doesn't teach you how money works. It doesn't show you how to sell, how to invest, or how to build something of your own. Instead, it teaches you how to be an obedient worker. You're rewarded for sitting still, raising your hand, and memorizing facts. That's not preparation for wealth. That's preparation for servitude. Machiavelli would smirk at this because he understood that systems are built to serve those at the top. The rulers, the elites, the wealthy. They don't want competition. They want you believing that your little paycheck and your weekends off are enough. They want you dreaming about a vacation once a year, while they own the planes you fly on, the hotels you stay in, and the restaurants you eat at. So, when I say getting rich is brutally simple, I mean this. The hardest part isn't learning what to do. It's unlearning what you've been taught. You have to break the script that's been drilled into you since childhood. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a man who wakes up every morning at 6 a.m. He puts on the same shirt, drives the same road, sits in the same cubicle, and answers the same emails. He does this for 40 years. Then one day he retires with a small pension and a weak body. Do you think he ever had a chance to build real wealth? Of course not. He traded his life for scraps. All because he followed the script. Now imagine another man. Same starting point, same world. But instead of blindly following the script, he questions it. He studies how businesses work. He learns sales. He saves not to hoard, but to invest. He builds something small, maybe a side hustle, maybe an online store. Over time, that small thing grows. He reinvests, scales up, and suddenly he doesn't need the job anymore. 10 years pass, and now he owns the kind of freedom the first man never even imagined. That's the difference. Not intelligence, not luck, just a willingness to break free from the script. But here's the catch. Most people won't. Why? Because breaking the script feels uncomfortable. And humans crave comfort. Comfort is warm, safe, familiar. But comfort is also a trap. Machiavelli said it best. Men are quick to forget danger when times are good, but danger never forgets them. The truth is, if you want wealth, you have to get uncomfortable. You have to take risks that make your stomach twist. You have to push through nights of doubt, mornings of fear, and days of uncertainty. That's the brutal part. But on the other side of that brutality is freedom. And here's something most won't tell you. The rich aren't smarter than you. They just see the game differently. They see money as a tool, not a reward. They see risk as an opportunity, not a threat. They see people not as friends or coworkers, but as allies, enemies, or customers. This mindset shift is everything. For example, let's look at how the average person spends their money. They get a paycheck, and the first thing they do is pay bills, buy entertainment, and maybe save a little. Their money is gone before it has a chance to grow. The rich, they flip it. They invest first. They put money into things that make more money: businesses, assets, people. Then, with the leftovers, they handle bills and fun. Over time, this small shift creates massive gaps. Let's say you have two friends, both earning the same $3,000 a month. Friend A spends $2,500 on rent, bills, food, and fun. He saves $500 a month in a bank account. After a year, he has $6,000 saved, but inflation eats away at it and his money grows weaker. Friend B lives a little leaner. He spends $2,000, invests $1,000 into learning new skills or building a business. After a year, he may not have much saved, but his skill can earn him $5,000, $10,000, even $20,000 a month. 10 years later, Friend A is still broke but comfortable. Friend B is free, wealthy, and powerful. The brutal simplicity is this: where you put your money and time today decides whether you're free or trapped tomorrow. And here's the deeper psychology. People don't actually want freedom. They say they do, but freedom requires responsibility. Most people want safety, not freedom. They want someone else to take care of them. The boss, the government, the system. But those who truly want wealth must take full responsibility for their lives. No excuses, no waiting, no blaming, just action. This is where Machiavelli's wisdom shines. He wrote that people are fickle, cowardly, and greedy. They will follow the strong, but they will step on the weak. So if you want wealth, you must project strength. You must appear as someone who controls their world, not as someone begging for scraps. Confidence attracts wealth. Desperation repels it. Now let's talk about tactics. If you're starting from nothing, where do you begin? The first step is not money, it's skill. You must develop a skill that creates value. Selling, writing, coding, designing, speaking, negotiating. These are weapons in the wealth game. Without them, you're unarmed. With them, you're unstoppable. Then once you have a skill, you use it to create leverage. Leverage means getting more from your effort than what you put in. A job is low leverage. You trade 1 hour for 1 paycheck. A business is high leverage. One product, one video, one idea can reach thousands, even millions. That's why the rich always search for leverage. They don't want to work harder. They want to work smarter with impact that multiplies. The average person thinks, how can I make more per hour? The wealthy think, how can I create something that pays me forever? One mindset keeps you trapped in time. The other buys you freedom. But here's the brutal reminder. Leverage requires courage. To build a business, to invest, to scale, you must face failure. You must risk looking stupid, risk losing money, risk being wrong. Most people can't stomach that, so they stay safe but broke. The few who endure the pain end up free. So let's put it all together. Getting rich is simple because it's about playing a different game. A game where skills matter more than credentials. A game where control matters more than comfort. A game where courage matters more than fear. The rules are not hidden. They're in plain sight, but only a few dare to play. And here's the question. Will you? Because if you don't, you'll live the script. Work, pay, complain, repeat. If you do, you'll break free. You'll enter the small circle of those who own, control, and multiply. That's the circle Machiavelli would nod at. The ones who accept reality, embrace risk, and claim power. Wealth is not for everyone. It never has been. But for those who are willing to face the brutal truth, it's closer than you think. Now, let's go even deeper. By now you understand that wealth doesn't come from luck, from working endlessly, or from waiting for someone to notice you. It comes from control, from leverage, from refusing to follow the script that keeps most people trapped. But let's look at the real strategies, the battlefield moves, that separate the rich from everyone else. Because here's the thing, money is war. Not a war with guns and bombs, but a war with ideas, influence, and attention. And just like in war, Those who hesitate, those who fear, those who cling to safety, they get crushed. Machiavelli knew this. He said, "Fortune favors the bold, but only when the bold are prepared." And when it comes to money, preparation is everything. If you walk into the wealth game blind, you get eaten alive. But if you enter with knowledge, tactics, and a willingness to fight, you win. So what are the tactics? Let's break them down. Tactic 1, own something. Don't just work for something. The poor trade time for money. The rich trade ownership for money. This is the brutal divide. If you're only working, you're always capped. Even if you work 16 hours a day, there are only so many hours in a year. Ownership, on the other hand, is infinite. When you own a business, a product, or even a small piece of equity, you're no longer limited by hours. You're limited only by scale. Think about Jeff Bezos. He didn't get rich by working 9 to 5. He got rich because he owned Amazon. Millions of people worked for him. Billions of customers bought from him. And his ownership multiplied his wealth beyond what ours ever could. You don't have to build Amazon, but you do have to own something. A business, a brand, a product, an asset. Tactic 2, use people's desire against them. Most people make decisions based on emotions, not logic. They want to feel powerful, attractive, respected, admired. The rich understand this and use it. They sell dreams, not products. They sell status, not items. Look at luxury brands. A $5 shirt and a $500 shirt may be made in the same factory, but people pay more because the $500 shirt makes them feel important. That's desire. And when you control desire, you control wealth. Machiavelli said, "Men are driven by two forces, fear and desire. To get rich, you must master both. Make people fear missing out. Make them desire what only you can provide. That's how you flip the game." Tactic 3, build systems, not jobs. A job makes you money once. A system makes you money forever. A system can be an online business, a sales funnel, a social media channel, a piece of real estate, or an automated process. Once built, it runs with little effort, and money keeps flowing. The poor never think in systems. They only think in tasks. But the rich, they build once, profit forever. Think about YouTubers. One video made once can earn them money for years. That's a system. Now compare that to the worker who must clock in daily to earn the same paycheck. Brutally simple, isn't it? Tactic 4, protect and multiply. Making money is one step. Keeping it is another. Multiplying it is the final test. The poor spend what they earn. The middle class saves what they earn. The rich invest what they earn. Every dollar is a soldier. Poor people send their soldiers to the mall. Rich people send their soldiers to battlefields where they return with more soldiers. This is why the rich get richer. They don't let money sit idle. They make it work harder than they do. Real estate, stocks, businesses, intellectual property, they all serve the same purpose, multiplication. Tactic 5, appear strong even when you're not. Machiavelli wrote that appearances matter more than reality. When it comes to wealth, perception is power. If people see you as successful, they treat you differently. Opportunities open, doors unlock. Think of influencers flashing cars and watches online. Many don't even own them. But their appearance of wealth attracts real wealth. People follow, buy, invest. Machiavelli was right. Men judge by their eyes, not their minds. If you want money, you must master the art of appearance. Now here's where most people fail. They hear these tactics, nod their heads, and then do nothing. They say, "It's too hard, it's too risky, it's not for me." And in that moment, they hand the game to someone else. But if you're still here listening, it means you're different. You feel the fire inside. You know there's more to life than waiting for a paycheck. So let's go even deeper into the mindset you need to hold wealth once you start building it. Because here's the truth. Making money is hard, but keeping it is harder. Wealth changes you. It changes how people see you. It attracts envy, leeches, and predators. If you're not ready for this, you'll lose everything. Machiavelli warned rulers about this. He said, A prince must learn how not to be good, how to be ruthless when needed, how to protect himself against betrayal. The same is true with money. Wealth attracts fake friends who want a handout, family members who suddenly remember you, business partners who turn greedy. If you're naive, they'll drain you dry. That's why the rich are careful. They guard their money like a fortress. They use contracts, lawyers, accountants, and structures to shield their wealth. They don't show weakness because weakness invites attack. If you want to stay rich, you must think the same way. And here's another brutal truth. Wealth will test your discipline. The moment you get a taste of money, you'll be tempted to waste it. Flashy cars, parties, expensive toys. That's how the newly rich fall back into poverty. They confuse money with status instead of using money to build power. The truly wealthy don't spend for status. They spend for strategy. They buy assets, not liabilities. They buy freedom, not approval. That's the difference. So what's the end game of all this? Why go through the brutality of risk, the pain of discipline, the fight against envy and betrayal? The answer is simple: freedom. Wealth isn't about gold chains or mansions. Those are side effects. True wealth means no one controls your time. No boss, no alarm clock, no begging for days off. It means you live on your terms, go where you want, do what you want, and answer to no one. That's power. That's why Machiavelli's wisdom still matters. Because power and wealth are the same game, and the path to it, brutally simple. See the world as it is. Reject the script. Build skills. Take risks. Own assets. Protect them. Multiply them. Project strength. And never, ever go back to comfort. Most will hear this and stay the same. A few will hear this and change their lives forever. The question is, who are you? We've torn away the illusions. We've exposed the script. We've broken down the tactics. Now let's bring it all together. Because here's the thing. Knowing is not enough. You can read 1,000 books, listen to endless podcasts, and fill your mind with wisdom. But if you never act, you stay broke. This is the last and most brutal truth about getting rich. It demands action. Not talking, not dreaming, not planning forever. Action. Machiavelli understood this about power. He wrote that fortune is like a river. It can flood and destroy those who sit idle, but it can be harnessed by those who prepare and act. Wealth works the same way. Opportunities come and go like floods. If you sit waiting, you're drowned. If you act, you build dams, channels, and rivers that flow into your own hands. So, what does acting look like? Let's make it simple. Step 1. Choose one skill and master it. Don't scatter your focus across 10 things. Pick one skill that creates value and commit to it. Sales, persuasion, writing, coding, trading, marketing, public speaking, any of these can be weapons. But a weapon is useless if it's left dull. Sharpen it daily. Mastery creates confidence, and confidence attracts money. Step 2. Stop thinking like a worker. If you want wealth, you must think like an owner. Workers ask, how much will I earn per hour? Owners ask, how much can I create that earns me forever? This single shift in thinking is the doorway to wealth. Step 3. Build leverage. You can't get rich alone. You need leverage, tools, systems, people, platforms. If you write, use the internet to reach millions. If you sell, build a team that multiplies your efforts. If you invest, let your money compound while you sleep. Wealth is not about working harder. It's about building structures that work without you. Step 4. Embrace brutality. This is the part most skip. Getting rich will hurt. It will stretch you. It will test your patience, your courage, your discipline. People will mock you. Friends may leave you. Family might not understand you. The world will resist you because you are breaking free from its chains. This is the brutal price. But on the other side is freedom. Step 5. Protect your fortress. The moment you start building wealth, guard it. Use contracts, use clear boundaries, cut off leeches, expect betrayal. Machiavelli warned rulers about conspiracies and envy, and the same forces attack the wealthy today. Stay alert, stay sharp. Build walls around your wealth so it serves you and your legacy. Now let's talk about the psychology of the endgame. Because if you don't have the right mindset, wealth will slip through your hands. Here's what usually happens. A poor man becomes rich. Suddenly, he has more money than ever before. But instead of investing, he spends. Instead of building systems, he buys toys. He tries to look rich instead of staying rich. Soon the money is gone and he is back to nothing. This happens because he never understood the brutal simplicity. Wealth is not money. Wealth is control. If you control your time, your choices, your future, you are rich. If you depend on a paycheck, even if it's large, you are poor. Machiavelli wrote that rulers must think not just of today, but of tomorrow and the generations after. That's what true wealth is about. Building something that lasts. Money that feeds your children. Assets that outlive you. A name that carries weight long after you're gone. That is legacy. But here's where it gets real. Most won't do this. Most people will finish hearing this and go back to comfort. They'll scroll their phones, complain about life, and repeat the same cycle tomorrow. And that's why wealth is rare. Not because it's complicated, but because most don't have the stomach for the brutality of discipline. So ask yourself, which side will you be on? Will you be one of the predictable masses living in comfort until the system eats you alive? Or will you be the rare few who face reality head-on, who risk, who fight, who build, who win? Let me give you a vision of what happens when you commit to this. Imagine waking up and knowing you never have to work a job again. Imagine walking into a store and buying what you want, not because you're reckless, but because you can. Imagine traveling when you want, where you want, because time belongs to you. Imagine building something that supports not only you, but your children and their children. That is freedom. That is wealth. And the road to it, brutally simple. Learn, build, own, protect, multiply, repeat. Machiavelli was right. People are blind, emotional, and easy to control. But if you rise above that, if you learn to control yourself, to master your fears, to embrace risk, you can control not just money, but your destiny. So here's the call to action. Don't wait. Don't scroll away. Don't promise yourself you'll start tomorrow. Start now. Pick a skill. Study money. Take a risk. Build something even small. Every empire started with one brick. Every fortune started with one step. Because the world doesn't reward the dreamer, it rewards the doer. And here's the closing line I want burned into your mind. Getting rich is not complicated. It is brutally simple. The question is, are you willing to face the brutal part?